The Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Pride Seeds, Cruiser Max Vibrance Beans, and High Stick NT.
In a week or so, we're going to be planting soybeans in this field, and we want to make sure that when we scout it, we look out for one weed in particular, because if we don't control it before planting, we're not going to control it once those soybeans are out of the ground. And I'm talking about Glyphosate Resistant Giant Ragweed. If we're IDing giant ragweed, when it first comes out of the ground, it's got two spoon-shaped waxy cotyledons. Actually, it starts to look like a wild sunflower. When it starts to put on leaves, the leaves, if you touch them, they feel like sandpaper. They're quite rough. What's unique about the leaves themselves is they have three kind of finger-like lobes. I call it the Homer Simpson hand because it has three fingers, but you know, it's got very distinct three lobes. And this is actually the ideal stage for control, about the 6 leaf stage. We don't want it to get any bigger than this. So let's talk strategies. So there's a lot of populations in the southern part of Ontario, but then also as we move east in the province that are resistant to glyphosate with giant ragweed. So we want to have another mode of action in the tank at burn down time so we control this species. And based on the work that Dr. Peter Sikkema has done at Ridgetown College, University of Guelph, 2,4-D ester pre-plant with glyphosate is the best choice for controlling giant ragweed, but there's a couple of qualifiers with this particular treatment. It was actually brought to Ontario for the sole purpose of controlling glyphosate-resistant giant ragweed. It has to be applied 7 days prior to planting. That's to minimize any potential for crop injury. And ideally, you want giant ragweed to be starting to emerge because 2,4-D ester really doesn't provide any residual control. We want to get the species when it's up prior to planting soybeans. So glyphosate plus 2,4-D ester pre-plant is really the only effective way to control glyphosate-resistant giant ragweed. So if we find ourselves in a predicament where we have soybeans up and then giant ragweed emerged also, our options are severely limited. That's why pre-plant control is so important. Of the post-emergent herbicides, first rate again is probably the most effective product at controlling glyphosate-resistant giant ragweed. However, there are populations in the province that are also resistant to first rate, so pre-plant treatment is really important. If we have this weed in field corn, because this plant has such a big seed, that it germinates from such a big seed, a lot of the soil-applied herbicides don't work as well as when this weed's out of the ground, then we use post-emergent herbicides. So there are a number of products that post-emergent will control glyphosate-resistant giant ragweed, and you can look at any one of the provincial publications to get that information.